I'm a beach bum. I love the ocean and everything that's associated with it. So when I think about the Caribbean, I think about islands, the people there, and the warm ocean breezes. So when I hear about Aruba, my thoughts immediately go to the beach. Did you know that this beautiful, relatively small island just off the coast of Venezuela, it's a country of about 100,000 people, and that it once had over 40,000 stray animals. That's right, 40,000 roaming the island. Now think about that for just a second. 100,000 people and 40,000 animals. Basically, 1/3 of the island's population were stray animals. Today, the situation is significantly different, partly because of our guest, Zoey Berkel. She's the founder of the Luna Foundation. Not only does she just think outside of the box, she's extremely strong-willed and has an amazing positive outlook. And because of these traits, the Luna Foundation has been really successful. I'm proud to tell you, she's my new friend, and I can't wait for you to hear her approach. She's witty, she tells a great story, and I know you're all going to love her the way I do. This is a really fun one, and you're really going to enjoy it. And I'll bet you're probably going to want to book a trip there. We are supported by PrepVet, providing stem cell therapy for pets.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at prepvet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and gains, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Mark Kyle.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the For Real podcast. Today is a special one. I've got somebody on here who's probably the hardest working woman I've ever known. She's a mom. She's running this the rescue down in Aruba, but I'm going to just pass it over to her. I've got questions for her and all that kind of stuff, but you guys are really going to like this one. So welcome, Zoey Conijn Berkel. I hope I said Conijn right.
It's all right.
I'm trying. And so she is with Luna Foundation in Aruba, and I've got some stats in that. But why don't we just start and just talk, Zoey, a little bit about Aruba, and then how you started the foundation, and we'll go from there. And I interrupt all the time, so I apologize right off the bat. But
No problem.
you've got a story to tell, so let's just let you tell the story.
Okay. Well, I'm Zoey Conijn. I say it the right way. Conijn Berkel.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm actually from Holland, from Amsterdam. I'm Dutch. I'm living now on Aruba with my husband and our son for the last 14 years. We came to Aruba, and I've lived here as a kid as well. I never noticed the dog issue that we have on our island, how many there are on the street, how many abuse there is on this beautiful island that we live on. Well, others come on vacation, we live in paradise, but it's just not paradise for our animals. So 6 years ago, it's already 6 years, I started Luna Foundation. We focus on educating, because I'm a firm believer if you don't change the island mentality, you'll keep cleaning up the island forever. And I don't want to do this forever. Our goal is 10 years. We're aiming 10 years, and then it should be better for all animals, not just our dogs, for all animals on the island. We go to the schools, we educate the youngsters from 4 years up to 18. We go in the neighborhoods, we help out with all animals in the neighborhood itself. We help spay and neuter, we help build dog houses, we help them with food, tie-outs. And we have our sanctuary. At our sanctuary, it's called Luna's Safe Haven. That's where we have, at this moment, we have 108 dogs. As of today, it's 109.
Wow.
It's a lot. And all our dogs, people often think we have street dogs. No, all our dogs In the US, you say they're
Strays.
no, when the police goes in and pulls them out, take them away from the owner because of they're severely abused,
Abused, yeah.
confiscated.
Oh, confiscate is a good word.
Yes, those are my dogs. I have the severely abused dogs. Severely. So say chain embedded in their necks,
Oh.
burned, beaten so badly, starved. Those are my dogs. I don't have street dogs. I have dogs that were owned at some point and the owners abused them horribly. So they're scared. It's a sanctuary. We're not an open shelter. People make an appointment, they can come by and they can visit our dogs, but I'm not open so like 20, 30 people can come at the same time because it stresses the dogs out. We take time, we rehabilitate them. It takes between 1 to 3 years before they snap out of the trauma that they're in. When they snap out of it and they trust people again, there's a checklist. They got to be good with kids, good with other animals, not scared, can walk on a leash. We find them homes.
So you keep them for 2 to 3 years or whatever amount of time it takes to they're actually, you know, settled down and feeling more like they wanna
Yes.
habitate with, humans that are the bad people for them and when they first come
Yeah. And if they never bounce back, then they just live with me till their last day.
there. So you're an angel.
I'm no angel. I'm doing what the world should do, man. I'm doing
Sure.
what I do. I would hope someday I don't have to do it. The world has to see what's happening. I mean, it's not just an island thing. It happens all over. But our island is too small for such severe cases of animal abuse. Way too small for that.
Well, what's crazy is what I've read, and correct me where if the numbers are wrong. You guys have roughly between 105 and 110,000 people there, but on the island, there's somewhere between 30 to 40,000 strays or somewhat stray dogs and cats. So that's one for every three people there.
It's less now,
Okay.
now that we've started spaying and neutering more. So now we have between 10 and 14,000 strays.
Oh, well, that's great.
It's going down, but it went down in, let's say, in the last 5 6 years because we've had spay and neuter campaigns where vets come from the US and they help us out here and they get as many as possible spayed and neutered. And if they're street dogs, they don't live that long, 4 or 5 years, and then they die. Car hit them, people poison them, all the weird stuff, all that you can imagine happens to them. So it the amount it went down, but it's still not what it's supposed to be.
Well, still, that's a 10% of the population if you were just gonna use with people. That's still a lot of
It's a lot.
I heard a good name for I was listening to a podcast, not mine, and somebody else, and instead of calling animals strays, they call them free ranging, which I think is kind of an interesting way of describing it.
Yeah, they free range. Yeah, they're all over the place. They survive.
Right.
They're moving around, and some of them you can't. People try. We got tourists that come to the island, and they see them roaming the streets, and they want to rescue them. But some dogs are so used to living on the street, you can't domesticate them. They don't. They don't want that. They want to be free. They don't want to be caged and locked in a house. So you got to respect that as well. That's all they know is being on the street.
Well, there was actually a study, and it was a really I wish I remember the name of the podcast. I'd tell people to listen to it, but they did a study on that, and they wondered if animals that were free ranging were happier than the ones that have been domesticated, put into a crate to sleep at night or a
Yeah,
fenced in thing where they get to live their life the way they want to live them. But they did say that they don't live as
they
long.
don't.
That's one of the big deals
They
that,
don't
yeah.
because of the humans. They don't live as long. The here on the island, they get run over because I mean they're wild, so they run. They cross the highway.
Well, the other thing is too, and I've a couple of people have brought this up before, and it's really true. It's when you talk about animals like these dogs that have been abused or whatever,
Mhm.
they also they don't say it's not a dog problem; it's a human problem when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, I believe where there's animal abuse, something's wrong in that household.
So when you got back to the island, I'm going to dig into you a little bit here because obviously you've got a good heart, but you also look at it logically, which I think smart too. Is so when you were there, what was the defining moment that made you decide, okay, I'm just going to take care of this and I'm going to fix this somehow? How did you decide to do that?
I started out as a foster for another foundation.
Okay.
That was just like cleaning the streets. Every day you got a bunch of puppies, you're taking care of puppies, and then more puppies and more puppies. I'm like, but you can keep cleaning the street, but if you're not going to the source, if you're not gonna educate the people, you'll be doing this forever. And then dogs get shipped out off the island, and you just move our problem to somewhere else, and we're not fixing what's happening here. Then I figured, all right, why not focus on education? 5 years ago, no one wanted to do that. No one wants to deal with a bunch of dogs and then a lot of noisy kids. To me, it's a perfect combination
Yeah.
because you bring in dogs with kids. That's the best combination. That's how you teach them. They see it and they learn from it and they know what to do, and you interact with them. And that's how my foundation started, with the kids.
So, yeah, well, it's funny is because they both have pure hearts, right? So
Exactly.
kids do, and animals do too. They
Exactly.
they like you with unless you've treated them terribly. They like you, without there's no rules.
Yeah, they sense you. They feel your vibe. They know if you're good people or not. And kids are so pure. They'll tell you stuff that you really don't want to hear that's happening in their household. So pure.
Right.
And then you know where it's going wrong. It's not just an animal thing. Your household, you expose your kids to animal abuse, then what kind of parent are you? What kind of role model are you?
Well, and I think the smart approach is, and I know I've talked to a couple of rescue groups in Mexico because Mexico has I think the largest per capita stray dogs in the world.
Oh,
But what's interesting about it is that they're doing the spay and neuter programs, and they're now starting some education. But the problem is, for them, it's especially in the rural areas, it's a cultural thing. That's if you grew up without not know anything different, you don't treat them the way they need to be treated.
true.
Exactly. So let's talk. So what you're doing, one of the programs I saw you're doing, you're starting with the younger kids. So you're training a new generation of people. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I believe that my granddad always said you can't teach a old dog new tricks.
Yeah,
Um,
you can.
you can,
I
you
get.
can,
I'm learning.
you can. But we do the schools, and I tell the kids, you guys have a superpower, and their superpower is nagging. Like you know how to get what you want. You know how to go for it, how to ask your parents in 100 different ways, or when they're on the phone, they know how to do their stuff. So I teach them the ground stuff. Your dog needs, and I say dog, but any animal that they have, water, food. If it's sick, how they need to recognize if their animals are sick. Don't have them tied up in the sun. Simple stuff, the simplest things. Clean water, not clean water in a dirty bowl. Don't give them bones because they copy what they see at home. Now they're hearing something different and they take it home and they talk about it at home. And I tell them, when you go home, you make sure what I just taught you. Walk around and see if your pet has all of that. And it's working because I get the same kids. They then come to the sanctuary to see the dogs, and they bring their friends along and they bring their parents along to see what's happening. Bit by bit, it's like a wildfire. Bit by bit, I see it. We see the outcome. Takes time. Takes time.
Well, it takes time and patience and love, and
Yes.
obviously you have the love.
For the adults, we go in the neighborhoods, which is tough. I speak the language, so for me, it's easier. But I have a lot of volunteers that don't speak Papiamento. They're Dutch. They speak Dutch or English. Our island has something they're proud, which is not a bad thing. But they don't want, and they'll call you an outsider. They don't want an outsider telling them how to take care of their pets, but they'll accept it from someone that dominates the language they speak.
Sure. Well, that's across the board.
Yeah, you walk in with all your tools, and it's not I'm here today and I'll come back next week to help you. No, we walk in with everything. On the spot, we build you a dog house. We give you both tick and flea meds. We give you everything, and then I come back to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Well, okay, wait a minute. Stop here for a second. I'm going to get back to that. So, first of all, how do you find the adults or the family that's got a dog that needs some training? How do you find them first? How does that work?
We walk around in the neighborhood.
Okay. And then once you find them and they agree to have you come by, then when you first go there or once you've had meetings with them or whatever, that's when you decide if they need a doghouse and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, on the spot. Because often they tell you, okay, you can come back next week. And then somewhere along the way, they change their mind or they're too embarrassed. They get rid of the dog. No, we're doing it now. We come with the pickup with pallets. Everything is on it. Now we do it. And if it's horrible case, then I take the dog away. Then the police have to show up and I take the dog away.
Well, I just never understand why people treat animals bad. I just that
I'll never understand it.
it's crazy. So, do you guys have a lot of the ones that are roaming the streets? Are a lot of them abandoned? What we found here in the U.S., especially after COVID, so many people adopted dogs, our cats,
Mm-hmm.
and then sure enough, they really weren't. They were alone, so they decided, okay, I need a dog,
Yeah.
and they got them. And now all of a sudden, all the shelters here are over full because everybody's. "Ooh, I'm not really a dog person. I'll give it back, but like the disposable pet."
Yep.
So you have the same thing there?
Not well within my foundation, no, because with COVID, I didn't let anyone adopt one of my dogs
Wow.
because I felt that was gonna happen because everyone is lonely, and yeah, we can take a dog and foster it for a bit, but then it gets accustomed of being in your home, and then you give it back, and how do I do that? So none of our dogs went out during COVID, and I think on the island it was quiet. If someone fostered, maybe, but they weren't doing the adopting thing because it was hard. You don't have money, salary stopped.
Right.
There was nothing happening. How are you going to feed it? You can want a companion, but how are you going to feed it? So here, no, we didn't experience that so much. Our problem here, this month, December, that's when it's horrible on our island. Because what happens is,
Christmas presents.
yeah, and they want to clean up because now family are coming over, and now family is going to see how horrible you've been treating your dog. You don't want family to see that.
Right.
So now is the time they get rid of them, and then you find them on the street.
Wow.
They clean up. So December month, all foundations know the streets are going to be crowded with puppies and adult dogs. They're going to be all over the place.
Oh, that's sad.
It is.
So you guys have a dog there. One thing I read about too, and I'm going to get back to the organization, but just to throw it in there, you have a breed that's not an official breed, but it's a breed that the indigenous people had from way back when. That's called, is it Kunico?
The US people give it that name, Kunuku.
Of
Because
course, we have to give everybody a name because we rule the world.
that, that's something that happened on your side. We here on the island don't call them that.
What do you call them?
We call them our criollo dogs, which means our local dogs. Kunuku means out in the bush. That's what. So out in the wild, that's the kunuku. You jump in the jungle way out there. That we call kunuku. The U.S. Labeled our dogs kunuku. It's not a breed. They're mutts. They're mixed with everything. So they take them and they think they can go through a book and read. Like if you get a German Shepherd, you can read through a book and get his
Yeah.
his personality. There's no reading, no book about our dogs because it's everything mixed up in one.
That's funny because we have you heard the term Heinz 57?
Yes.
It's much. Well, I have a rescue myself, and everybody goes, "What kind of dog is she?" And I call her a Mexican rat dog, which means she was a dog in Mexico. That who knows what she is, but she's a little bit of everything.
She's a
She's certainly
mix. She
crazy.
has everything in her, and that's our dogs.
Yeah, she's my Mexican rat dog.
Yeah. Because these dogs, they have energy. I always warn them, if you don't want an energetic dog, don't take our one of ours because they'll tear your house up in a heartbeat when they're bored.
Well, let me tell you something. If I brought my dog over there, she'd make those dogs look tired. She is as crazy. She's the sweetest dog ever. But when she's going, she goes out to and trust me, I give her a lot of exercise. She'll go to my backyard and run
They
laps
run
for a half
around
an
in
hour just because she wants
circles.
to. Yeah, she'll do it for an hour. She'll come in, she'll flop down, get some water. She'll go back out there and do it again.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, maybe she's from Aruba.
Maybe she has
Maybe
a little
that's where she's
crossbreed in her happening.
Maybe, I had to change her name. She's no longer a Mexican
She's a
rat dog. She's
Kunuku
a
now.
Reuben rat, rat dog.
They have the energy. I got 6 of my own. 6 dogs at my home.
That's crazy.
And they play and they can do it for hours. They run behind each other, they chase each other. And I sit and I'm like, you guys not tired yet? The energy, man, the energy. People want to adopt them and put them in an apartment. I tell them no. There's none of our foundation dogs goes in. I'm like, you go to work or go to the supermarket for 10 minutes. You'll come back and find your couch shredded. They're bored. They bored quick. You gotta take them so they can run.
Yeah.
And people they misjudge that. They think some of them are small. Yeah, but it's small and cute. Little Tasmanians is what they are.
Yeah. Well, my dog's name's Mabel. She's more than a Tasmanian, I'll tell you that. So, you know what? I do want to talk to you about something else about your things. You have a couple of new programs, I guess, the FIDO and FICO projects.
Yes.
So let's talk about both of those so we can educate everybody.
Fido is what we were already doing it, but we didn't give it a name. It's Foster Island Dog
It's a
Owners.
good name.
That's where we go in the neighborhood.
I say that again because I totally interrupted you. Say that again.
It means Foster Island Dog Owners. So we're helping the dog owner on how to take care of their dog. It's like we take over the care of the dog for 1 month. I'll provide you with food, taking flea meds. I'll bring you in bowls. I'll walk you through it, give you a different tie out. For 2 months, I help you. And in those 2 months, you learn from me and you put aside money so you can feed your own dog and take care of your own dog. And FICO is for the cats. Now, I'm not a cat person at all. I'm allergic to them. And they know I'm not a cat person. The cats know. So they don't mess with me.
Okay.
they, they don't mess with me, but I'll rescue them. But I'm not going to do all the smushy stuff and hug them up and no, sir.
Well, they're probably not going to let you
No,
anyways,
they
so
can
it doesn't
feel it.
matter.
They can feel nah. This lady's a dog. She smells like dog. She's a dog. She's one of them.
She's a Tasmanian Aruban dog
She's
person.
all now. But we have them at the sanctuary. We got 5 cats, but they roam free on the outside of our sanctuary. They're on the outside, and I feed them behind my fence. They'll come in and they'll walk around and they'll snuggle up with me and zip back out. They know.
Well, you know what I like about the FIDO program or the FICO program, both of them. What you're doing is you're going to the source. So
Yes.
the reason why you started it, I mean, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to let you tell it. There's a reason why you did this, where you're going in and train them. Explain for everybody listening why you did that and why you're going to the source. And if you don't get, I think I know what it is because I read some stuff about it. I'm curious what you say and see if I got it right.
If you don't go to the source, you keep doing this forever.
Right.
You got to change the mentality, and they're not going to come to us. I mean, even spay and neuter. You can do a free program, and they still won't show up. So you go to the source. You got to go in the neighborhoods. Let the island know that you want to help them. And if they're not coming, then you go in and I'll take them out and spay and neuter them and bring them back. But before I bring them back, you got to fix up your property the right way. So let your kids be proud that you know how to take care of your pets.
And then one of the things of that, and I've got another theory on this too, but one of the things, if you teach somebody else how to do that, and they've got a neighbor that's got a dog, they're probably going to help teach them too without even realizing they're teaching them.
Yes. They copy each other. That's how humans work. They copy each other.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know the saying over here, we have the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yep.
And so, you're looking at your neighbor saying, well, that guy does some really cool stuff with his dog. Maybe I need to do that
Maybe
too.
I should shape up and whip myself in better shape and do something better. He's making me look stupid now with my dog.
Well, I look stupid no matter what. When I got my dog, everybody said, what's wrong with that guy?
His hyper dog.
I told you. It was going to be crazy when you had to talk to me. But one of the things I like about the Fido thing, because the way I read it too is, and this is what I really like about the way you're looking at things. You're looking at it from a different lens, and what I mean by that is, you look and said, okay, what we're doing now, we're taking these dogs and we're trying to find foster homes because they're not making it out at they're not really doing well. So if somebody gets rid of a dog and now you have to find a foster home for it. What you're going is, let's not make them fosters, even though that's the Foster Island program. What you're doing is you're going to the people that have the dogs, and saying, "Hey, I'm going to train you how to have these dogs, so you don't have to put it in the foster program."
You don't have to toss it on the street. You don't got to take it to a shelter. I don't have to take it from you to find a new owner. No, I'm going to make you a better owner.
Right.
So it's your responsibility. You signed up to have a pet. So it's your responsibility till the day they close their eyes.
So you're teaching them how to have some responsibility too, is what you're doing too.
Yep.
Yeah.
You become like a social worker because you go in to help them with their dogs and you end up helping them with all sorts of stuff, helping them clear their house out, cutting down grass in their yard, cleaning up trash that's on their property. I didn't sign up for all of that, but you do it.
So where did the name Luna come from, out of curiosity?
Luna was my first solo rescue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was You would call her, well, I call her Fila Brasileira. So that's a big hound. She was a big girl. And they took her from a breeder. She was more dead than alive. She was just a breeding machine.
Uh,
And she was sick. So we took her, and I didn't have my foundation as yet. Together with now the cat foundation, the head of the cat foundation, together with her, we took her. She was her foster. And I said, her owner was the first and, well, the last person that got arrested for animal abuse. I think he got maybe 1 day.
oh,
He spent 1 day in jail. No one else has ever spent any time in jail, nor any fine, nor nothing.
that's terrible.
And in her name, she passed away last year. In her name, I said, we're going to start educating and fighting against all this abuse that's happening in her name. And that's where Luna came from.
Well, I have a niece whose name is Luna.
Oh, pretty. I'm hearing it more often now. Luna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's I think 5 or 6 years old now, but still, she's Luna. And I love the name personally. I mean, obviously, with the goes with the moon and all the other stuff too.
I don't know if you saw the logo. The logo has the silhouette of the dog, Luna, with the heart is her little nose, and behind her is the moon. I wanted a combination of both.
Yeah, the red moon. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So one of the things too, getting back to some of the stuff you guys do, because in reading your thing, you work with the communities to help them care for abuse and mistreated animals,
Mhm.
also pregnant dogs and that. So talk a little bit about some of that stuff in the neighborhoods, because you're the neighborhood monitor, the dog monitor,
I'm
basically.
trying, but I need what we're doing now is we need the neighborhoods themselves to keep an eye out of what's happening. Today, we picked up a pregnant mom that was walking on our beaches. I got tagged like 100 times in one post that this mom is on the beach and she's ready to have her babies. She's now at one of our fosters. People need to be our eyes and ears, and I explain that in the classrooms as well. I can walk into neighborhoods, but I don't see with my team. We don't see everything. If, let's be honest, if someone doesn't want me to see their abused dog, they're gonna hide it from me. But your neighbor next door
Sure they are.
sees it. They can see in the back of your yard. If you tell me I can't come in, I can't. Even if the police comes in and you say no, you don't want them, they can. They'll have to go and get a warrant. By the time they're back, you already got rid of the dog. So we need the neighbors to keep an eye on each other, and it's working. It is working. At times they call us too late, but it's they're catching on to it.
Well, do you have like here we have in the US, we have this thing called like neighborhood watch. You have like these neighbor monitor kind of things. Are you kind of doing something like that with that then?
Yes, we're trying to, because you got neighborhood watch where they watch each other's houses for so no one can break in.
Right.
But we're now introducing it that you gotta keep an eye on your neighbor, that they're treating their animals. And I always say, and their kids, because there's a number you can call if you think a kid is being abused. Don't just close your eyes and your ears and live in your own little cocoon and don't care about nothing else. Because that's not how we are supposed to be on this island. That's not the island I grew up on. We always cared for one another.
Right.
Don't let modern technology make us get all flaky and stupid. Keep the warmness. Keep the warmness that always was there. Keep it. Hold on to it. It's tricky though. Modern times, it's tricky.
So if you have you said 108 dogs is what you have? Is that what you said?
108.
So how big is your facility? I mean, that's a lot of dogs.
It's big. I can fill it with easily with 600-700 dogs, but then they're gonna have to bury me somewhere up in there because I don't have the manpower.
Well, it's got to be expensive to do it. So do you run solely on donations? Does the country support you at all?
Nope, we get nothing from our government.
Wow.
We got the piece of land where we are. I'm way out
Uh-huh.
away from civilization. I call it that. I picked there because it's safer for my animals.
You're in dogland.
Yes, way out there. So if they want to bark till they drop, they're not bothering anyone. No one has to come and try to poison them. No one has to come up in there, do nothing unless you're coming because you messaged me that you want to come and visit. The property is 15,000 square meters. I don't know how to, I'm Dutch. So
Well, yeah, so a meter is basically a little bit more than a yard. So it'd be 45,000 square roughly 45,000 square feet. So that helps people kind of understand what that is.
It's big.
Yeah, that's real big.
Yeah, it's big, and our dogs, they all have their cages, but their cages are nicely tiled, and they're wooden cages. It's set up nicely for them. It's airy. If it rains, they don't get wet, and they have their running area. They come out and they run, and we clean the cages. And when they get tired, I mean, the sun is hot. They're not gonna run that long. They run and run and run behind each other, and then they come back in and they drop down, drink their water, and they're out. They sleep. They relax.
So do you guys do, like, in a lot of countries, they have spay and neuter clinics where they do like a quarterly, where they have like an area where everybody can bring the dogs and be spayed. Do you guys do anything like that in Aruba?
We have now, it's called Animal Welfare Alliance Aruba, which is 5 foundations that formed a spay and neuter clinic. The island has their vets where you got to pay, but the spay and neuter clinic, you can bring your animal in for free, but it has to go through one of the 5 foundations that formed it. Because we got to do the background check to see if you really need that help.
Right.
Because what you get here is you can't roll up in I'll just call a brand, a BMW, in an expensive car and expect to just bring out your fluffy dog and then it gets fixed while you have the money. No, this spay and neuter clinic is for the less fortunate, we'll call it, the low income.
Sure.
That's who it's for.
As it should be.
Yes. So they got to go through a foundation so that foundation can do the screening, and then they can bring them in to get them spayed or neutered. That's when we walk around in the neighborhoods. We mark down which dogs and which cats, and then we give them a date, and the truck goes in and picks them up, takes them to get fixed, and brings them back.
You know, I just read there's a country, and I wish I could remember the country now. They just announced they're 100%, the entire country, all the animals, I don't know how they measure that, are 100% neutered.
Oh,
When I find it, I'll send you a message on that. But I thought, and I was going to reach out to them.
where was it? I read it. I read it.
It's crazy. It's somewhere in Asia, I think.
Yes, I read it. Someone sent it to me a few months back. I read it that all the animals were fixed. It took them a while, but they got it. They got it done. That's what we need. We're just an island.
Well, by the way, what that says is it's possible to do.
It is. It is.
Yeah, yeah. Now, well, here's a question for you. So, you got my only question. Here's another question for you. So, one of the things I talked to a rescue group down in Baja, Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all these stray dogs there, and some of them were bad. They were, they'd come in packs and kind of attack people and bite people and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they've had a really massive spay and neuter program going on for a few years now. And what's happened, and it was actually some Americans who were living down there. Now that they've been so successful for it, now they're seeing a lot more cats. So what's happened is it's like an ecological thing, right? So now the cats aren't being chased by dogs. Now they have to start up this whole program of trying to neuter all the cats that are there.
We have the same thing.
Oh, really?
We have the same thing. Now that there are less dogs roaming the street, we got more cats. You're not seeing them because they're nocturnal. They come out where the dogs will run the street during the day. The cats come out at night. And it's not one, two. There are a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of them. Cats is a bigger problem on an island than dogs. But because they're not visible, no one complains about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, until it becomes a real bigger deal than it is.
Yes, because now they're killing the wildlife. They're going after the birds,
Right.
the lizards, and then people start complaining.
So, how many volunteers have you ever? I'm still wrapping my head around.
Not enough.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, okay, that says it right there. So, do you get people? It was funny. I was just talking to somebody at this coffee shop that I go to, who's going down to Baja, and I said, well, she's going down with her daughter's like 16 or 17. I said, where you're there, there's a really good rescue group there. It would be really cool if you took your daughter, even if it was for half a day.
Mhm.
They would really just to walk the dogs or do something. She goes, oh, yeah, that sounds good. But I could tell right away she wasn't going to do it. And I said, you can take it. I said, you're teaching your daughter doing something. You've got a half a day. You're going to be down there for like 10 days. Go half a day and do it. I said, you may have a better vacation just by giving something back.
Yep.
So I guess that leads me into this question. So do you get a lot of people that are visiting the island that come and volunteer with you?
We do.
Actually, let's talk about that. What do you guys need? Let's talk about what you're looking for funding and all that. So let's talk about how people get a hold of you, what, obviously we always know best case scenario, give me $1 million, we're good to go. But how people can volunteer, how people can help you in all the different ways that you can think of.
If they're coming from abroad, so if you're not on the island, you're a tourist and you want to join us, they can always go on our webpage or even our Facebook and send a message. Let me know, because that's what happens. We get in a week, I think almost every day, there's a tourist that comes to the Haven. That's what I call it, the Haven. They come and they help out.
By the way, I think the Havens, I love the name Haven, but give everybody the addresses of the social media and all that stuff too, so they can get a hold of you.
Luna Foundation Aruba, that's our Facebook. Our webpage is luna-aruba.com.
Okay.
On our webpage, you can click on the applications and you can fill it in. You let us know you're coming to visit. You can do an email, lunafoundationaruba@gmail.com. Either way, if you got WhatsApp message, you can send us. All information is on our Facebook and on our webpage.
Okay, good.
You send a WhatsApp, it comes straight to me. You want to chit chat? Cool, we can do that. Calling is not, I don't have time for that.
I know.
This is when I got time, and it's already dark. During the day,
I know. I really know.
yeah, it's mission impossible. I can't hear what they're saying because dogs are barking, or I'm driving, or I'm ankle deep in poop somewhere. There's always something. So
You're a nutcase.
that's what they say.
Hey, so let's go back to volunteers. So what kind of let's talk about people. If somebody wants to come, or it's people on the island, I'm sure everybody knows you about there, but what are the different opportunities for I know that, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, I think what do they call them? Flight angels or whatever too, and then some of the other stuff.
They can volunteer in many ways. They fill in the form what they would want to do. If you want to come in and walk a dog, I'm cool with that. You want to come in and just sit in the puppy pen and cuddle with them and have them kiss you and whatever, you're socializing them by doing that as well. You want to come in and help us clean. That's the hard part. That's the physically hard part because it's hot. I always tell people come for like 2 hours. Don't run a shift with me 5 hours because you're gonna drop down. I'm used to it.
Right.
My team is used to it. But if you just came out of the cold and you come to Aruba and on your second day you're already up with me, 5 hours sun, I'm gonna have to roll you in a cage somewhere because you're gonna pass out. It's too hot.
Right.
So they come in and they help clean like for 2 hours. They can come. I've had people that come and help us build cages. I've had that come and help us clean up the yard, so do some garden work. They come in and they can paint. Whatever you want to do. If you just want to come to the island and go back with a puppy, you fill in to be a flight volunteer. Depends on where you're flying to. If my team, because we're registered in Aruba, but I'm registered in the US as well.
I saw that. That's why we're going to drop in there, guys. And you're also the Netherlands as well.
We're trying to start it up in the Netherlands.
Okay.
I need a good fallback team that if something goes wrong, I need to know I got a team that if I get a dog adopted out there, something happens, they can take it back. As long as I don't have that team locked, I can't do it. Because my dogs are mine until the day they die. There's no taking them to a shelter if you don't want them no more. They always come back.
Right.
In the US, they go back to my team in the US.
Do you have a team spread out the US, or is it in a specific area?
We have in Chicago and in Mass. And in Tampa.
Okay, wait. Okay, you got Tampa.
Tampa, Chicago, and Massachusetts.
Or Massachusetts, like Boston or someplace like that?
Yes. We have a permit that we can bring in our dogs because you need to have a permit. We're 501. You can't just bring them in. You got to bring them in. You got to quarantine them, and then they can go their way.
And so if it's somebody that's not in those areas and they want to get one and it goes to an area, then either they fly up to get it or you have a flight person that would fly them down to them. Is that how it
If
works?
someone wants to adopt one of my dogs and they're in a different area,
Uh-huh.
they got to jump through a lot of hoops because my team, as they ask so many questions, if my team doesn't scare you off, then you deserve one of my dogs. I need to know you're not one of those whack jobs that on a Monday morning you figured you want an Aruba souvenir and okay, I'll get an Aruba dog. Remember I said Tasmanians, they tear up your house if you're not smart.
Yeah.
So I don't send my dogs just anywhere. No.
Okay, so if somebody's not coming there and then somebody's not adopting, but they want to help you financially, obviously every dollar counts.
Yes.
They just find that information through the same places, right?
Yeah, we got PayPal and we got Venmo. And our bank. We have our bank, our Wells Fargo. Some people want to do it directly to the bank. Cool as well. It's all online. I can't bring out the account numbers now by heart. I don't know it. PayPal, I know. It's paypal.me at Luna Foundation, and it takes you through it. Some people might want to order stuff. We have a wish list on Amazon. That's on our webpage as well.
Oh, good.
Then it goes to my team in the US, and they find tourists that are coming this way. They meet them at the airport. They give them the bag with the supplies. They bring it to me.
So what else? Anything else that you would, on your wish list? Does that pretty much cover everything? I want to make sure we get everything out there.
Yeah, if the supplies or wish list is there, if they're coming to the island and they want to bring stuff, more than welcome. Just browse through our wish list. If they don't want to travel with nothing and they want to give us something here, food is always welcome because feeding 108 is not easy. Food is always welcome. They just message me and I'll tell them what brand and where they can get it the cheapest.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't want to do all of that, they just want to come and sweat, more than welcome.
Well, I think of it this way. For you guys that are listening out there, if you're looking for a vacation, you want to go an island, you can now tell your work or your friends, say, listen, I'm going down to volunteer, even if it's for a couple hours, then you've got a reason to be on the island other than just hanging out on the beach.
Exactly. And if they're lucky, at times, they show up at the Haven and they've never seen. Some people come. It's weird, eh? Some people come to the island and the only thing they've seen is their resort.
Of course.
That's where they stay. They don't drive around, nothing. But then they come to the Haven, and they work with me, and they mention we've never seen nothing. You're lucky, and I have nothing else to do after the Haven. I'll show you part of the island that no tourist ever sees. I'll show you the local side of my island.
Which is the only way to see it as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. And then I hear years after it was the best vacation ever, and they keep coming back.
Uh-huh.
You're on the island, man. So you got to live a little bit.
Well, the other thing is too, and we've talked a little bit about because I do a lot of refugee work all over the world, and and when I travel now, I always try to do something, and I can tell everybody that's out there, if you've never done anything where you've got to volunteer while you're on a vacation, you'll be shocked how much more rewarding that vacation is.
Yeah.
You'll remember it forever. And if you're with kids and you can bring your kids, you're doing what Zoe's doing with educating everybody there by taking them to the classes and teaching a generation and say, hey, you can give back a little to get a lot more. Yeah.
And the kids love it because we don't just have dogs. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we have then the cats. I got pigs. We have 8 pigs. The madness, it gets crazier. We got rabbits. We got tortoises. I mean,
I don't think anybody's going to adopt. Do people adopt pigs?
no, those are mine. That's just my madness.
Okay. So other than your 108, you've got another 100 or so. So you got like 200 or 300.
Yeah.
Mrs. Doolittle.
That's my entertainment. Those are for my entertainment. They're not to get adopted. Because you go and you rescue a dog and you bump into other stuff.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah, that's why it's the Haven. It's not just for dogs. All the abuse.
It's your haven too, by the way.
All the crazies show up. All the abuse, and I'm like, they connect with me because I miss a few screws as well to be doing all of this. So it's okay.
Well, I've never been to Aruba, so you may have some real crazy guy show up someday.
Show up. I say show up. Just let me know.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. Don't be saying that. You may be regretting this conversation.
I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, listen. So I know I've taken your time. I know it's, we started, after 9:00 your time. So one last thing, I know you've listened to the episode. So one of the things I always like to do is, I know, and everybody cringes this, and one of my favorite things to do, it drives everybody crazy. I always tell a silly dad's joke that has to do with animals. So here's my dad joke for this one.
Okay.
Okay, what kind of dogs does Dracula have?
Oh boy.
It's an easy one, actually, when you hear it.
What kind of dogs does Dracula have?
Yeah. You ready?
Tell me.
Bloodhounds.
I was all up in bats.
Oh, I know.
Vampire. I'm like, which bloodhound? Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I understand it at least, so I have to keep it at my level all the time.
That's a good one.
I like it. Anyways, Zoey, Thanks so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know we've been trying to get this together forever. I know you're zigging and zagging all the time, but
we made it happen.
Well, I feel like I have a new friend, so I really appreciate that. And then lastly, to everybody's listening, by the way, if you've got a better joke, because I always need one, please, for everybody else's sanity, email me at mkyle, K-Y-L-E, mkyle at forrealpodcast.com. And I promise you, if you send it, everybody will thanking you, and I'll be thanking you too, so I don't have to say one. But your kids, I'll record your kids, your family, whatever, if you want to do that. And also, if you've got a good group, a rescue group, or you've got a veterinarian you think would be pretty cool on the show, send it to me. I promise you I'll follow up one way or another. And more importantly, pass the word out. We've got great stories like this. You get to meet crazy people like Zoey and me and all that. But again, everybody, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. For real.
For real, 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 for real.
We're supported by Let's Walk, that's here to love your animals like our own.
Austin, Houston, and Denver. Let's Walk is here to love your animals like our own. From daily walks, play, in-house sleepovers, and more. Go to work, out on the town, or take a vacation knowing your pets are in the best hands. This woman-owned small business does it all. Check us out on Instagram at Let's Walk Austin, Houston, and Denver.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.